We have finally seen the new look Indianapolis Colts on a football field in game action. We'll tell you all about their matchup with the Buffalo Bills on today's episode. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Colts fans, thanks so much for tuning in and making us your number one listen of the day. This is your daily podcast covering your Indianapolis Colts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am Jake Arthur, and I'm joined again by Zach Hicks, who is back in the saddle today. For anyone new to the show, you know us from horseshoehuddle.com. I am also a credentialed member of the Colts media and a member of the PFWA. I'm there every day during training camp, so I bring you guys my daily notebook, again, over there at horseshoehuddle.com. They're at the facility during the season. Zach, tell our good friends a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah. I think you covered it pretty well just by saying the Horseshoe Huddle. But yeah, I'm the film nerd over at horseshoehuddle.com. I do some work over with Mile High Huddle as well. Work with Cover One, USA Today, stuff like that. So you guys have seen me around for sure.
Sure have. So we are finally here today to talk about some preseason action, guys. A little special edition Saturday episode for you. So the Colts were in Buffalo for their first preseason game this Saturday afternoon. They lost 27-24. Some people care. We don't. Big whoop on wins and losses. We're just kind of evaluating players and how they deal in certain situations. Offensively, it was okay, a little shaky at first. Matt Ryan, the first team offense, they kind of struggled to get in a bit of a rhythm. Had a 3-and-out early. When Nick Foles came in with the second unit, 2 turnovers right in a row. Is honestly when Sam Ehlinger came in that things really started to even out. But what did you think from the offense today?
Yeah, no, I think the first team offense struggles are a little overblown. I mean, if you're watching, when you were kind of watching that game there, the Colts were definitely not calling the real offense by any means at all. It was all just one-on-one routes. It was hey, Alec Pierce, try to beat this first round corner one-on-one to get us a first down, and he didn't win. He didn't win that matchup, which that's a good matchup. I mean, Kyrie Elam is a stud, and
good player,
just a really awesome prospect. Yeah, so I mean, that was a great matchup there. Michael Pittman Jr. didn't beat Christian Benford on a 4th down play. Again, it happens. It's just part of the game. So I don't know. It's just it was a lot of one-on-one routes. It was just seeing if these guys could separate versus man by themselves. And I know people are going to say like, oh, that's concerning and stuff like that. But when the real season comes around, there's going to be mesh concepts. There's going to be rub routes. There's going to be stacked releases and stuff. So these guys aren't jammed at the line. Like, this is nothing like real football whatsoever. Heck, I would honestly go as far as say camp and the joint practice we're going to get this week is closer to real football than what we see from the first team offense in preseason. But you could tell just from the emphasis for the first team offense was try to get the offensive line connectivity going within the run game, and in the pass game, just try to get a couple passes out there against man coverage and see, what if the rhythm can kind of hit there. It was really nothing. So for the people that were all doom and gloom and saying, oh, this first team offense sucks, or, oh my gosh, they need a receiver right now because they couldn't separate against the Bills' number 2 corners. Look, it was 10 passing snaps in a preseason game. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like, if this continues through all 3 games, sure. Or the joint practices, these guys can't get open still, sure. I get it. But this is 10 snaps in a preseason game. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said this on Friday's show. Think about how big of a part Jonathan Taylor is of the offense, and then factor that into what you're seeing, because there's a whole half of an offense that you're not even seeing. There's still 90 players on this roster. They need to whittle it down to the 53 and then the big practice squad. So this wasn't strategic today. It was player evaluation. That's all it is. Right. And you put it in a very base vanilla package, essentially. So nothing to get worked up about. I mean, I'm sure some people will, but just kind of looking at some themes here. I really liked what I saw from Michael Pittman Jr. and Kylan Granson. I mean, Pittman had the loss on that one, I think third or fourth down, whichever.
Fourth down.
Yep. But again, from player evaluation, I liked how they're being used. I wrote in my Jake's Take piece on both players, Michael Pittman Jr. over the middle with the opportunity to run after the catch. He had that bubble screen on his second catch. Kylan Granson got separation, got the ball in stride, was able to create yards after the catch. That's the Kylan Granson we wanted to see and weren't really able to see last year. So I really like that from both players.
Yeah, no, it was really good to see with both those guys. And also another guy to kind of talk about here is Alec Pierce. I know I just said that he lost that third down to Kyer Elam, but outside of that loss, he had a pretty good day. He got open on a deep comeback route. He got open down the field another time as well. I think it was 2 catches for around 30 yards is what he finished with. Just a really solid outing. Looked really comfortable out there. And again, he lost that one, but I'd rather him be exposed to that kind of rep in the preseason, so he's ready for it come real football. So I like a lot of what I saw from him. And then also the rest of the tight end group too. Jelani Woods had a really nice touchdown catch. Drew Ogletree looked pretty good. He had a touchdown catch that got called back on a screen, which I thought that was a really cool play call, seeing him with the ball out in space on that screen play. I think the tight end group looked really good.
For sure. I thought Saturday was a good confidence builder for Pierce and Jelani Woods, honestly.
Right.
Through 10 practices, I think Pierce has probably caught like 4 balls in 11-on-11s with the first team. So when you have like Michael Pittman caught like 5 or 6 the other day just in one practice. So Pierce hasn't been super involved in that. So you got him a couple nice catches in a game. Same with Woods, not been very involved. You get him a couple catches, one of them being a touchdown. It was a nice little confidence booster day to remind these guys we are involved. Here's a game. We're used to making plays like this. So that was really good. Phillip Lindsay, do they make RB3s any better than that?
No, I mean, he looked like he had no right being in that game after the starters came out. He looked like he did not need to be out there. It looked like, you had a starting back. Honestly, his vision and his elusiveness looked better than Nyheim Hines as a runner. I don't know if just the second team O-line was having more success in the ground game than the first team O-line. But yeah, Phillip Lindsay looked really solid, and that's going to be a really good third running back to have this season.
Yeah, you and I were texting during the game. Nyheim had a really good play. I think it was on a reception, and you said, get him out of the game. And I said, ride Phillip Lindsay until the ground the rest of this game. And, he had a modest day, five carries for 24 yards, and then another couple catches for 9 yards. But he looked good doing it. Like, again, RB3s don't come that much more accomplished. So if you're giving a player of the game to someone on offense, who's yours?
Yeah, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give 3. I'm going to give 3 guys the player of the game on offense. But again, that tight end group, I was really, really impressed by the tight end trio of Kylan Granson, Drew Ogletree, and Jelani Woods. I think they all looked decent in the run game. I thought they all made some plays in the pass game. And it's kind of like what we've been saying. It might be a heavy rotation for that tight end 2 role. It might be Kylan Granson leading the way in terms of snaps, but Jelani Woods and Drew Ogletree will get a lot of run as well this year. So I think all 3 players kind of had that confidence boost, kind of got involved in the passing game. And I was really, really impressed by what I saw of all 3 of those guys.
I feel a lot better about Kylan Granson after Saturday, for sure.
He looked clean, man. He looked good.
So I'm going to give mine to Sam Ehlinger. And when I looked at his stat line after the game, I was really surprised because he got murdered by this offensive line. The offensive line, I think it was particularly the right side, was just letting leakage come through a lot. Yep. And Sam was under duress quite a bit. Even some of the big plays he made was evading traffic, stepping up in the pocket, doing some things with his feet. So he finished 10 of 11 for 88 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, a rating of 139.6. And then, as always, he's got to have a couple carries. He had 4 carries for 24 yards. The offense looked a little clunky, hit some dead ends, never really found great rhythm until he came in. He had his throws to Michael Jacobson, and I think Jelani Woods caught his from Sam as well. So really good on Sam Ehlinger. And again, you don't want to see this from NFL players, but he technically would have every reason to pack it in. He was, as a rookie last year, he earned the second string quarterback role behind an oft-injured quarterback. And then this year, there was rumblings about he could even be a candidate to start if they couldn't find any other options. I don't know how much I would buy that.
Yeah, probably
But
not.
at the very least, he gets knocked down to QB3 after Matt Ryan and Nick Foles come in. So he could mope and have reason to not be happy. But I think he's really embraced having guys ahead of him that have that much NFL pedigree to their name. So Sam seems to embrace it. Sure, he's been demoted a little bit, but he's not, he hasn't been going out there and acting like it.
Yeah, no, Sam Ehlinger is the perfect preseason quarterback. Really accurate, athletic, moves well in the pocket. He'll probably, the best case scenario for him in the NFL is being a backup. Like he'll never be a starter.
Yeah.
We know that. Even if you're the biggest Sam Ehlinger fan in the world, he's not going to be a starter in the NFL. But he could be like a Colt McCoy type guy. He reminds me a lot of Colt McCoy when I covered Washington, where Colt McCoy dominated the preseason every year. And he was an okay backup too. So, I like Sam Ehlinger a lot. I think he's a great dude and he's playing really well. And he should be thriving in these preseason environments like he did this past, yesterday.
No doubt. We love your Sam Ehlinger analysis as always. It's always good. We missed you on Friday, but who else missed you on Friday was BetOnline. So the Colts entered this game, according to BetOnline, as 1.5-point favorites, and the over/under on total points for these teams was 38. The Colts did not cover that. They lost by 3. But the teams, how much? That's that. What, 51 points? I don't math well. But they beat the over/under, so they went over on that. So that was good. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all of your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf.
BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting to scores and podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening. BetOnline, where the game starts.
You thought I was going to hit you with the even golf, didn't you?
I thought I was ready for it. I keep getting ready for even golf.
Even golf. Oh, boy. All right, so defensive side of the ball. Much better showing for them. It started out not chill. It was the Bills' second team offense kind of marched down the field, 6 plays. It was like 69 yards, I think. But the Colts defense finally settled in once the Bills got into their red zone. Knocked them out 4 straight plays, forced turnover on downs. And then it just really opened up after that. 5 takeaways. You don't see that a lot in the preseason. Teams aren't that polished at taking the ball away, but you can really see, even though defensive coordinators have changed for the Colts, taking the ball away is ingrained in their DNA. And like Shaquille Leonard wasn't even out there, who's one of their biggest playmakers. So that was really good to see. 5 takeaways throughout the game. Yeah,
and honestly, I think, again, just like with the first team offense struggling, I think that first series was kind of an overblown thing too by a lot of fans. They gave up 2 broken plays. One was I got to rewatch the long pass to Khalil Shakir, but I think it was the linebacker on the play side just didn't robot quick enough to get back into that lane, and then Stephon Gilmore got pulled up a little bit. So it was just a miscommunication with a new scheme. I think it was like the second play of the game. So there's second play in live action in a completely new scheme, and they had a little miscommunication. That's fine. And the other one was just a broken run play on a bounce back that, the contain got broken on the backside. That happens.
Odenigbo just didn't get turned around quick enough.
Yeah. Right. Those are kind of, I'm not going to say those are freak plays, but those are plays that they probably don't happen in a regular season game, especially if you have your starting defensive end out there. Yannick Ngakoue is probably not getting turned around that easy on the backside there. So I think it was overblown. They held strong in the red zone. They had really good coverage from Nick Cross down there, but talking about the turnovers, yes, there was that fluky one from Jamison Crowder, but the other ones were legit. Cam Klein's sack fumble was amazing. Isaiah Rodgers on that pick was just Isaiah Rodgers. He baited Keenum into that.
Did you see? He was staring him down. He was taking baby steps that whole time. He knew it was going there, and he knew he was going to pick it.
Dude, Isaiah Rodgers, man, he is the weird, like he is so confident yet humble. Like if you talk to him, he's so humble, but you
Yeah.
could tell by the way he plays that he plays with this level of confidence because
Mhm.
that was one of the smoothest. Just, I mean, he just easily turned and took that ball. I mean, there was no contest from the receiver,
Yeah.
and you see a lot of young corners panic in that situation. They'll just try to sit on that receiver and try to punch the ball out without turning around, which is fine. As long as you force an incomplete pass, but no, he was confident, speed turning and getting that pick, and it looked so natural. Then Bobby Okereke had that big forced fumble, or I think it was Julian Blackman. I don't know who they gave that one to,
It
but they
looked like it was Okereke to me, but then they interviewed Blackman on the sideline, and I guess they eventually gave it to Blackman. But hey,
right.
they let's say they both did it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's a lot of starting defenders right there. Rodney McLeod
Yep.
coming away with a pick, and then
Rogers
Isaiah
and McLeod
Rodgers.
both count. Yeah.
Right, right. So I mean, those are guys who are going to play a lot come regular season. So it's great to see that again, that turnover mindset kind of still instilled in this defense. So yeah, it was just all positives from what we could see from those defenders. And I really think they did calm down after those two just kind of bad breaks early in the game.
You there?
Yeah, yeah. Did I cut
Technical
out there?
difficulties. All right, that was fun.
Did I cut out on your side there? What happened there?
No, I don't know. I have a Wi-Fi bar showing on mine. I don't know. Maybe it was StreamYard itself. I don't know. I thought we
I
both
don't
went
know.
down.
Oh gosh. All right. But yeah, no, I was just saying it was good to see that from the starting defenders out there playing well.
Yeah, and so another big thing I took away from this was the pass rush. I think we're fairly confident in Yannick Ngakoue and Kwity Paye, but it's the waves and the rotation of pass
Right.
rushers that is really going to be where the money's made. I thought the young guys looked really good overall, inside and out. Curtis Brooks, our guy, the namesake of the podcast, Brooks was really disruptive throughout the day. Cam Klein, Ben Banogu, Odenigbo had that bad non-contained in the run game, but otherwise as a pass rusher, I thought he looked good. Dio had a pressure that forced the interception on the Sterling Weatherford interception there. So yeah, I thought the young guys looked pretty good in the pass rush game.
Yeah, no, I have no complaints. I think every edge rusher caught my eye today at some point.
Yeah.
Like we even mentioned, Cam Klein had a good game. Like it just the whole defensive line looked good. Eric Johnson had some decent moments. I really had no complaints with the entire defensive line. And also I think at linebacker, we got a lot more clarity at the depth there. I think there's a firm two guys that are probably out at the bottom there. And then we have, Doman is probably safe. Sterling Weatherford, is making a case to be safe. But Brandon King and Skalski, I think his name is, or Scals.
Yeah, James Skalski.
Yeah, those guys clearly are. You could tell just when those guys were out there compared to Weatherford and Doman that it was different. Weatherford and Doman looked so much better than those two. And again, we've talked about linebackers so much. For a group that could have 1 to 2 spots available, those are two guys that are playing well right there. So, those guys are making their case to make the team.
Yeah, I agree. That was not a pretty couple plays in a row for King, who missed badly on some tackles. And
yeah,
I mean, he's in direct competition with Doman and Weatherford, and is his special teams ability so much better than theirs to knock them off? Like, I don't know.
I will say Weatherford was the first guy down there on a lot of punt plays too. Like even if he didn't make the tackle, he was the first guy making contact with the punt returner too.
Trevor Denbo was around the ball a lot on special teams, I thought.
Yeah. The weird thing is I don't think we have any clarity at corner right now. Corner behind Isaiah Rodgers, Brandon Faison. Marvell Tell had some good moments, but he allowed some catches. Yeah. Dallas Flowers allowed some catches, but he had that really nice play on the 2-point conversion. Tony Brown, I don't even think I noticed Tony Brown out there. Did he even play?
Not much. I noticed he got in Isaiah Rodgers' way on that big kick return.
Oh, okay.
That was the most I noticed from.
So yeah, I don't think we have any clarity at that corner depth, but I feel like
not yet.
Everything else is kind of showing its face right now. Like we're kind of seeing the clarity. Corner depth, I have no clue what's going to go with that one.
So speaking of corner depth, I think I know who it is, but who would you give your defensive player of the day to?
Oh, definitely Isaiah Rodgers. He
Okay.
should not have been out there as long as he was. And I know revisionist history, but he did, go down with concussion at the end of the game. He's going
Yeah.
to be in concussion protocol. Probably will miss all the joint practices this week as a result. Um, but I think what we saw from him in this game was outstanding. I mean, again, that pick was perfectly baited. He looked great, had a big fumble recovery as well. I mean, he's just a ball magnet out there, and he looked great. He looked great. Honestly, I understand why the coaches might want to go with Brandon Faison as the other starter alongside Stephon Gilmore, but Isaiah Rodgers has got to play a lot this year because he's just so talented.
You can't replace his playmaking ability. He's such a ball hawk in a multitude of ways now. You have to find a way to get someone like that on the field. Even if as a corner he's not that other starter, he has to have a role, and it has to be at least what it was last year.
Right. He needs to be out there. But who would you say is your player of the game on defense?
Yeah, so I'll give it to another defensive back. I mean, we've talked about plenty of guys who did well throughout the game, but Nick Cross in a smaller sample size, through just over a quarter, I thought he played really well. He had some really sticky plays in coverage. One of them saved a touchdown. He also had a tackle for just a modest gain, like a 1 yard gain, I think. So I really liked what I saw from him. He looked polished even as a rookie. And again, he's young as a player and in literal age at 20 years old. So he looked further along in game one than I would have expected. And again, while some of these other guys had a good game throughout the day, he fit a lot into this quarter and change. So I really liked what I saw from Cross. Again, it gives me confidence going into regular season week one that he might be ready to be the starter.
Yeah, absolutely. And then honorable mention is obviously just the whole defensive line looked awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the whole defensive line from start to finish, I thought played really well in this game.
Yep, waves, baby. All right, so last but certainly not least, what were some things, and again, keeping in mind that preseason is preseason, what were some things you want to see ironed out moving forward, into joint practices with Detroit and then preseason week 3 against Tampa?
It's still the drops. Still the drops, man. Like Paris Campbell had a big drop on a third down on a little mesh play that should have been a first down. Drew Ogletree had a drop, I think, from Nick Foles in the red zone. He was kind of contested, but you could call that a drop. It wasn't as bad as a lot of the practice reports, but there were drops. And again, like the Paris Campbell one on third down, you do not want to see that obviously carry into the season because that's a drive killer right there. Because I think right after that Paris Campbell drop was the play where Pittman got beat in press coverage on that fourth down. So that ended up being a turnover on downs right afterwards. So you just want to see a lot of that stuff cleaned up. And then the last one, again, is just something, the second thing I want to say is just something that goes with everything preseason and off season is just, please stay healthy. Please stay healthy, guys. I don't think that's something you can just iron out or say that we want to work on, but like, it's just my thing that like, please stay healthy. Because we just lost Isaiah Rodgers. Kiki Kuti left this game early. I know Brandon Faison was dealing with some injuries too. So you just want to stay healthy in these games.
Yeah, there's some of these camp standouts that are kind of dropping now, and hopefully they can keep them clean throughout the rest of the preseason. For me, penalties was a big one.
Yeah.
Now, the Colts had 9, Buffalo had 11, but still that's like a lot. And, just like you said, drops your drive killer, penalties can be too. One of them pulled back Drew Ogletree's his touchdown. It was a Bernard Ryman, I think.
Terrible call.
Yeah. I mean, they're not always good calls.
No, I get what you're saying. I get your point. It's just, oh my gosh, they called offensive pass interference on the left tackle who was within 5 yards on a screen pass. Like, come on. But I do get what you're saying. There was a couple false starts. Like Braden Smith had the false start on.
I was gonna say Braden Smith. That's a guy who's obviously gonna play a lot. Like, you gotta have that stuff cleaned up. And
Matt Pryor was gonna give up a would-be sack in an actual game, but then he pulled back the defender. So I mean the starting offensive line for sure when it came to penalties, because that was honestly, I just think the starting offensive line in general needs to be better. Like, I'm not as concerned about the receivers as I was about the starting O-line. And I know, again, it's the first preseason game, 2 new starters. They're building that chemistry. And a lot of these starters were also out last year, so you want to build that chemistry too. But I didn't think the starting O-line looked that great. They looked really leaky in pass pro. In the run game, they were kind of getting blown back. I want to see that in the joint practices look better than what it did in this past game.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously you've got your all-world running back coming in, which he'll erase some of that, but at the same time, you want to make things as good as possible for him. And then, of course, Matt Ryan, like with how much Matt Ryan is dependent on timing and things like that, like they've got to get that shored up a bit. And that could be something that takes a few games to get ready for. I mean, offensive line chemistry does take some getting used to, but they're ahead of where they were last year because everyone was hurt all the time last year. So far this starting five, knock on wood, this starting five has been intact throughout the entire summer. So I'm confident they'll get there. Like Matt Pryor has been generally fine throughout the summer. Penner, I thought, he's getting those developmental snaps. He stayed in after the rest of the first team, played some center. So I think they'll be all right. But yeah, this is definitely something you want to see them get cleaned up sooner or later. Defensively, you mentioned, tiny blown coverage type things, like not egregious mistakes, but stuff that'll need to be cleaned up moving forward. It won't happen in a regular season game. Was there anything else that you noticed that you think they really need to get cleaned up moving forward?
I need to see this third team defense look better, man. The third team.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let Matt Barkley go up and down the field and you come on third team defense. But no, I honestly though, like I'm not too concerned about any of the flaws I saw in defense because it was all guys who aren't going to make the team. So the starting defense and the main backups looked really good. So I can't really complain too much, but you know what we can complain about? We had a kicker miss.
And it wasn't Blankenship.
That's shocking. But no, it was the extra point. An extra point. This is why kickers suck. Man.
That's something to clean up. Imagine losing a game because of an extra point was missed early on.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Let's see what else. Yeah. I think that was about it. I had something else on the tip of my tongue, but obviously not important enough. I think that is it for today, everybody. Crushing preseason loss. No.
Wait, I have one thing to clean up. I have one thing I want to say clean up. Let's clean up the fan reaction to preseason games, guys. Let's calm down a little bit with some of these things. Like, look, if an individual player is not looking great, sure, have that complaint. Don't complain about the scheme. Don't complain about how an overall unit is looking. Don't complain about play calling or anything like that. Like, guys, this is not real football. This is high school football that we're watching with good athletes. That's what we're watching. This is the most basic vanilla stuff. Half the play calls are just dumped down to running back. Like, it's not real football here. So let's clean up a little bit of the, fire everybody or, oh my gosh, we need this or we need that because we couldn't move the ball in a preseason game. Like it's outstanding. It's funny, but geez.
Yeah, preseason football comes with a very large disclaimer. And don't forget, guys, the Peyton Manning Colts, they used to lose like every preseason game. Right. And that was the winningest franchise of that decade during the regular season. So freak out if it happens in the regular season. Be chill and don't freak out for the preseason.
Right. It really doesn't matter, guys. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. And on that note, we will be back with you guys on Monday talking more about, anything else that's developed or come up from this game. Frank Reich and everyone will be talking to the media once again. We'll have new news and nuggets for you. But yeah, shoot. Anything else from you, Zach?
No, just make sure you guys are following us there on social media at Jake Arthur NFL. Obviously, for all your camp updates during joint practices with the Detroit Lions, that's going to be a blast. Mm-hmm. Follow me at Zach Hicks 2 while I break down this preseason film that I just said doesn't matter. I'm sure that'll be my whole week. And then, horseshoehuddle.com is where you can find all of our written work. Over here on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, which means, obviously this is my header if we get that. And then, wherever you listen to the podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, wherever, rate, review, subscribe, tell us what you think, and be nice with it. But, you don't have to be. It's fine. Whatever you want to say. This is a safe space. Space. You can say whatever, except Titans fans. You guys can't say it. You don't have a safe space. But everyone else, completely safe.
Yeah, not in the comments section. The Titans fans, it gets ugly out there. But Colts fans, thank you guys for making Locked On Colts your first listen of the day. Now make Locked On Fantasy Football your second listen. Find the intellectual fantasy expert Vinny Iyer, who brings over 20 years of NFL expertise and a unique angle to give you the moves that no one else has. Get ready for your fantasy drafts with Locked On Fantasy Football. We'll see you guys on Monday.